Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Green Tea Podcast. This is Grace.
And Emma.
All right, guys. Today's episode is going to be a little bit special because I am in another country and so is Emma. She's in America. I'm in Korea right now. So, today's episode is all about finding joy and excitement back into your life. Now that it's becoming fall and winter, things are tensing up and closing up. So, how can we still have that spark and enjoyment in our lives? And Emma is going to touch up on the astrology forecast for the next couple weeks. So, what is coming up, Emma?
Yeah, so we are currently in eclipse season. It started back on the 17th of September with the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, and it will be followed by a solar eclipse on October 2nd in Libra, in the sign of Libra.
What is even eclipse? I'm sorry, I don't know.
So during a lunar eclipse, it'll be the sun, the earth, and the moon. So the earth goes between the sun and the moon, and it casts a shadow on the moon because the earth blocks the sunlight. So sun and moon, earth in the middle. Solar eclipses are sun and the earth with the moon in the middle. So the moon blocking the sun from reaching earth.
Got it. Thank you for the explanation. So, the reason why I want to touch up on the excitement is because I'm not gonna lie, I've been struggling. We are going up and down in a roller coaster. Like I've been feeling good and I'm going down where I just felt I came to Korea obviously for this Asia trip and usually normally, I would be excited for Korea. Like it's my home country, there's so many things to do. But this time around, I don't know what it is. I just felt super not excited. I was telling my friends about it. Is it because I'm going through some personal stuff? Or is it because like we're so in a way spoiled in New York City? We get a lot of, free things and treated nicely, of course, in Korea as well. But did I lose the excitement and spark of life? Even traveled so much this year. It's like, damn, did I get so used to the airplane and traveling? It's like not exciting anymore. And then I watched a Bashar video and he was saying that in life, one of the rules is you need to find that excitement in life because that is the direct guide from your higher self telling you like you're on the right track in life. So the last couple of days has been, obviously humbling and meeting family and getting these, great treatments, beauty treatments in Korea. It's been amazing. But I did find my spark today a little bit where I was able so a couple days ago, we went to Gyeongbokgung, which is like the Korean palace.
Oh yeah, the palace.
Yeah, you walk around and things like that. And, I was doing like a Korean tour. And while I was going to go back home, I saw this lady who takes these hanbok Korean traditional photos, but she does it very like artistic and very modern. So I just felt this inkling like I had to go in and ask her like how much is their photos and things like that. So I went and asked. Long story short, I was able to get like photo collab with her, which was super lucky last minute. And that store she works at happens to be like one of the most handmade like luxury Korean traditional clothes compared to like the other shops, the cheap shops. And like just everything like matched out. It was the first time I wore this beautiful handmade Korean traditional like queen outfit. We took full photos and that just gave me like so much joy and excitement. So that was one like joy that I found here. There's obviously something personal I've been going through, and it's so annoying because at the end of the day, you're letting something get to you. If you're going through work problems, relationship problems, I'm like, oh, I'm letting this get to me every single day that I wake up. You think about your work stress, your relationship stress. It's like, I don't want to have that. And maybe that's why, like, when you let stress get to you just too much, it just becomes jaded and numb. So I'm trying to like swim back up to the top. What's wrong with me? What's in me that's triggering all this?
Yeah.
So maybe that could be it. I mean, eventually you have to face and ask yourself, really, why are you going through this? You're just running away. Am I running away with just traveling and, all these things and just kind of masking it? Yeah, I wanted to ask you, what sparked excitement in you and what kind of gives you that drive and how do you get it back? Or how are you feeling right now? Let's check. Is there something that excites you?
All right. Let's see. Okay. So for me, like what makes me feel excited and like lit up about life is actually art, performance art, music, singing, dancing. And I feel like anytime I'm able to do that stuff, I feel this like spark of aliveness like come back into my life. I feel motivated, I feel inspired, I feel confident. It's like vitality. Like it's like literally the fire and the spark of life that I feel. So I've actually signed up this week for like a couple classes, start getting like back in my body and to start feeling more like myself.
Yeah, I mean, remember when we were like 2021, you just became an adult. And, for me personally, I went to Korea. I was like, yeah, I'm determined to become a singer today. Like, it gave me so much like passion and like a reason to like wake up every day at 7 a.m. and grind, grind, grind. And I guess
Right.
like in a way, tributes and challenges in life, it gives you fuel to continue moving. And maybe that's why as we get older, it's a little sad, but like we're kind of really jaded and not a lot of things kind of excite us anymore. And we try to excite and ignite this through, whether it's drugs for some people, alcohol or sex or like just buying
Right.
things like
Right.
hauls. But those are so short term lived that I just don't want to get to that point.
Yeah.
But I do want to say that I went to a Korean shaman and I filmed everything and putting up on Grazy TV. But one of the ladies, she told me like, oh, when you were in your 20s, like you did things, with your body, it's just like singing and dancing, things like that. But, that is going to like kind of like mold and shape as you get older in different eras of your life. But she said like you chose the perfect career for your horoscope and
Mm-hmm.
like your life. So that did give me
Yeah.
validation that I am on the right path and that there is going to be other things that's going to excite me just in maybe different ways. And I've always been kind of like I told you, thinking, should I become a singer? Like, should I be continuing to do this? And I think the answer is you can do similar things, but in different ways, live
Mm-hmm.
vicariously. So that's kind of where I've been trying to find my excitement.
Yeah. That's awesome. Something that you mentioned, something that you just said really made me think about how sometimes when we have gone our whole life or a large portion of our lives down a certain path, whether it's entertainment, medicine, business, whatever it is, it can sometimes be difficult to like imagine ourselves like doing something else when that clarity doesn't come instantaneously. There's all this space for like doubt to enter and like creep in, uncertainty to like grab hold of us and be like, are you sure? Are you sure this is what you want to do? Like, and then you're really confronted with like the inner workings of your own mind and like your own negative thoughts and like whatever's keeping you kind of back from it. But yeah, I just mentioned that because I feel like I relate to that. I've had a few career changes in my life, and every time I make a change, there's this part of me that is like, yo, are you sure this is the right decision? It creates delays. It creates kind of like a stalling of me starting what it is or going for it because I'm stuck in my head trying to make sure, is this the right choice that I'm making? I'm trying to make sure I have everything planned out. And sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sometimes it's like you take action and then things start to fall into place. But a lot of times I noticed it was because I really wanted the clarity like right away. You know what I mean? I was like, let me just know what it is and then I can just start doing it. But it didn't happen that way. And so it again led me down this path of like doubt and things like that. And so I've been learning a lot recently, the past few years, about like patience, like how do you be patient, allow things to fall into place? Like, how do you strike a good balance between like taking action and doing what you need to do by pushing your energy like outwards or pursuing something, but also balancing that with being in a state of receptivity, and allowing opportunities to come to you? How do you balance both of those? Because you can only kind of really be in one state at a time. If you're taking action and pursuing something, there isn't always as much space for you to receive something, and vice versa. If you're always in this state of like, oh, just let it come to me, then you might find that things aren't always getting done because you're never taking action to go and get them done.
Yeah, I definitely really struggle with what you said because all my life I've been a patient girl. All my life I was like, oh, let it come to me. Oh, let it, be patient, blah, blah, blah. And I'm starting to think that maybe at least that's not always the answer because once you wait, you're not taking the action, it's just how is it going to come to fruition? Like the world doesn't work the way where, God's gonna drop $1 million in front of you. Like like sometimes you have to make a decision quickly and just like let it come to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I really struggle recently, as you said, with
Yeah.
what is the balance between patience and just making a decision and just fucking going for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if me being patient all my life really was the answer, honestly.
Mm.
I
Mm-hmm.
wish if I could go back, I wish I could have just made a decision, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know you've spoken about that, about how like a lot of your life you were a little bit more passive and kind of just like you said, like just like let things come to you, you didn't really interject or like get your, put yourself in situations you didn't need to be in. Um, but it's so funny how ever since I've met you about a year ago, um, I see the opposite of that. Like at least, when I got to know you initially, it's like
No.
you seem definitely more like somebody who takes action.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I met you, I know you told me I was supposed to come into my own power, and I really wanted to do that. And I think I just hate going back and forth in my head about a decision. I feel like
Mm.
that's just a waste of time. What do you think?
Yeah. I have that problem too. And I know that like so Grace is a Libra rising and I don't have anything in Libra in my chart surprisingly, but I'm a Taurus rising, which means I'm also ruled by Venus and I have a sun in Aquarius at 7 degrees, which is a Libra degree. Um so those signs are known to sort of at times struggle with indecisiveness because they're considering like so many different elements or perspectives or possibilities, outcomes, that it leads them into a bit of what could be considered sort of like analysis paralysis, right?
Yeah, I mean, recently when I've really applied, I think it's the Aries energy
Yeah.
of just, going for it. I feel like I've made so much more progress I did in a year than I did in the last 3 years. And
Yeah.
of course, there's a balance between being patient with things and letting things come to you. But I think right now I'm in this era where, you got to ask for what you want. You got to just go for it. And
Yeah.
me being shy is not going to get me through the door.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, I think, and another thing too, I guess maybe this would
Mhm.
be a little bit of like a tip, if you will, for like
Mhm.
navigating indecisiveness. One of the things that I find to be really helpful is to actually look at like why I desire something. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying to like sit there and dig so far into it that now you're like overthinking everything. But sometimes when I'm able to clearly understand why I want something or why I'm considering an option, it can help me make a decision, right? Thinking about the motivation behind it is also kind of important, which leads me into another question that you asked, which is, um, when you lose that spark and that motivation, what is it that you can do to kind of like re-spark it, you know what I mean, or to find it again, like, and I think everybody might have a different answer, but I'm curious like what you might say to that, like what do you do when you lose that spark?
I think recently, for example, I've had this realization that yeah, like you get this butterfly feelings when, especially when I was interviewing like K-pop idols, and that's when I had this weird sensation of like just energy for a couple days. I'm like, ooh, I feel like good, and I think that really was the spark of me wanting to be a more of an interviewee
Yeah.
for maybe even bigger networks for true crime or for celebrities or whatever channels. And I think that's literally the feeling from my higher self saying that, hey, that's your next path, this is going to excite you, so try to find an opportunity in this direction.
Mm.
So when you do something such as Emma, you might go dancing or you might be doing astrology lessons for whoever, and if you get that like butterfly excitement and like get all these plans and things that you can conjure up in your head, I think that's the next like step for you. And that's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of, you have to like follow that breadcrumbs of the trails, because also like life is about action and movement. Even if your higher self gives you a download like, hey, I want you to do this, if you don't move your ass, it's never going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's about like following the footsteps, and you do have to do the work, but I do think that our higher self kind of gives us the breadcrumbs to follow.
Yeah. Okay, so that's how that happened for you, was like was it getting a download about it, or was it just like your own interest of like, oh yeah, I would be interested in interviewing because I have this skill set already of doing this other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had the skill set. I had got the
Yeah.
opportunity, and then I'm sure if it was for other few people, it wasn't meant for them. They'll be like, "Oh, this is boring." But for
Yeah.
me, I literally got the feeling, "Ooh, why am I having
Got
this
it.
like spark of energy?" So, I think
Yeah.
that was like definitely the key download.
Sure. Sure, sure, sure. Okay, I get it. I get it. That makes sense.
Have you had that with astrology recently, such as the corporate stuff you've been doing?
Yes. So astrology is one of those things that I think has always given me like that spark. It's something that like no matter where I am or who I'm talking to, it's like part of a conversation that I always want to contribute. Like naturally it just comes to me. I'm like, oh my God, I want to talk about astrology. Or like I notice patterns in astrology as someone's talking to me, which feels like that aliveness, right? Um, but yeah, I would say for a while, actually, because I was a little bit unclear about what direction I was going to take now with astrology moving forward, I kind of felt like I lost a little bit of that spark. But interestingly enough, I could tell that it wasn't necessarily because of the astrology. It was just where I was sitting in a mental space of like how I'm relating to astrology and what I'm doing with it. Um, but anyway, I recently kind of had like a breakthrough, and it was like the minute that I had the idea, all of a sudden I'm getting like all these visions of it and like how, excuse me, how it might work out and all this stuff. And I felt that spark like kind of return, you know what I mean? Like to me and like what I'm doing, and feeling more inspired and motivated actually um to actually make it a thing. Also getting back into dance and like theater and doing all that other stuff. It gets like my energy moving. And I really feel like sometimes like energy just gets stuck in our body in different places. And sometimes when we do stuff that moves it, it like can bring us clarity in other areas of our life, if that makes sense. Um, and so I kind of feel like that's what's been happening as I've been taking more time out to like move my body and like dance and just da 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 whatever. And like as that's been happening, I've also noticed like more clarity coming to me even in other areas of my life, not just in art. So yeah, that's what I would say. I can't remember what you asked me, but that's the answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's we have to find excitement in our lives, and sometimes, like I said, it comes with having bad things happen in your life where you're like, now I gotta grind, and I feel like recently, I'm just going with the flow and taking day by day. I think life is just about perspectives and
Yeah.
you experiencing life in all different kind of ways. Boredom, who is Emma in boredom, who is Emma in sadness and success, and Emma in, when you're crying and when you're smiling. So I think, life is really about just me and a character experiencing as much as I can before I go and I'm a spirit and I decide to experience something else again in a different body,
Yeah.
which in a way also doesn't excite me anymore if we know the answers. Like if that's like spirit life, like oh my gosh, like I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Um yeah, man, like I just feel a little jaded, long story short, and just kind of like trying to find a spark.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good, man. There was something interesting that you just said just now, like trying to find the spark. Do you ever feel like trying to find the spark is what prevents you from finding the spark?
Yes and no. Like if you feel bored or if you feel jaded, what else am I gonna do? Am I just gonna marinate in my bed or am I gonna go get up and try to find something?
Right, right.
So, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, honestly. Like you said, sometimes if you feel like you lack something, then you're gonna lack something.
Right.
So there's a paradox to everything. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think there's a limit to everything. Like you said, like everything comes from you, but at the same time, I've been trying to meditate on my and work on my own. Obviously,
Sure.
you hit a brick somehow and you
Yeah.
do need help, just like you go out and buy some yummy food to make yourself feel better. Sometimes outside things does help, and we do live in a
Yeah.
physical world and 3D world. I think it's just kind of natural.
Mm-hmm.
I think today with the shaman I met, he said like it's not a good thing to have the spirit world like be so close to us and live among us because we were meant to be separated, and the best thing you could do is
That's
for
interesting.
spirituality to help you, but not
Right.
necessarily for you to like diverge and live, because we're not in the same world. We've chose to be in this 3D world for a reason. And that just kind of like really gave me kind of an eye opening because, I mean, yeah, I could meditate 24/7. It could help me, but you're going to run into a brick eventually. So, life is about balance. That's
Yeah,
kind of
I
how it felt.
love that. Yeah, 100%. And I love that you said that because I know that we've kind of had conversations about this, even just like privately, where like spirituality is great, but like we live in a what people call a third dimensional world. We are bound by the limits of the third dimension. We're bound by the limits of our body. We're bound by the limits of like what the world has for us right here.
Yeah. So as for now, still means a lot that obviously in this dense society that we live in, we still try to somehow find love and, the connection to the other side, and always try to be positive in this crazy earth we live in. So that says a lot
Definitely.
about the strength of our souls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
Well, to wrap it up, is there anything you want to touch base on with astrology?
So interestingly enough, speaking of what you just said, right, of like trying to like have this 3D experience and like build relationships and everything. Um, there is another eclipse coming up on October 2nd. It's the second of this set of eclipses this summer and fall. It's a solar eclipse in Libra. So Libra is ruled by Venus. It represents things like our relationships, our values, our money. It's all about networking and reciprocity. And so, this solar eclipse is all about newness. Speaking of like a spark that we're trying to find, this is where we set our intentions to manifest new things, right? And again, since it's falling in the sign of Libra, it will likely be oriented toward things like values, money, and relationships. Now, this eclipse is going to be forming a square, I believe, to Mars. So Mars is the planet of like conflict, aggression, da 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 da. So there may be an energy in the air that could create possibility for like arguments or some type of tension, some tips to navigate that are going to be things like looking at your relationships and your connections. Are they reciprocal? Are they balanced? Are you aligned with people that share your values? um, is there an opportunity for you to work on networking or manifesting, if you will, new connections that actually work for you, or to put yourself into social environments for social gatherings or something like that? um, and yeah, releasing like energies of like trauma or negativity, hopelessness, whatever, around relationships. So this idea that sometimes the past experiences that you have can hold you back from finding new love or new relationships. So yeah, that's just kind of in a nutshell what you guys can expect for the upcoming solar eclipse, and just some tips to kind of help you navigate.
Love that. Keep moving forward.
Exactly.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. The next one, we will be back in New York together. So, see you guys next time.